Padless gloves. In 1983, Luis Resto was involved in the most serious cheating scandal in boxing history. During his fight against Billy Collins Jr., Resto entered the ring with the padding deliberately removed from his gloves. This turned every punch into a more dangerous, damaging blow, far beyond what's legally allowed in the sport. Over the course of 10 rounds, Collins absorbed extreme damage. He suffered broken bones in his face, permanent eye injuries, and career-ending trauma. The gloves were only examined after the fight when Collins' father, also his trainer, noticed they felt unusually thin. This led to an official investigation. The result confirmed the violation. Resto's gloves had been illegally altered, and the New York State Athletic Commission ruled the incident a criminal act, not just a breach of rules. Both Resto and his trainer, Panama Lewis, were convicted of assault and conspiracy. Resto served prison time and was banned from boxing for life. Billy Collins Jr. never fought again. He lost vision in one eye and died less than a year later. His death is widely linked to the psychological and physical damage caused by the fight. It crossed the line from sportsmanship into physical assault and changed how athletic commissions inspect equipment before and after fights. Cement wraps. In 2009, Antonio Margarito was caught attempting to fight with illegal hand wraps before his bout with Shane Mosley. During the pre-fight inspection, Mosley's team noticed something unusual in Margarito's wraps. The California State Athletic Commission ordered them removed and examined. Inside, officials found inserts coated with a plaster-like substance. These inserts were designed to harden as the fight progressed, essentially turning Margarito's fists into blunt weapons. Had the wraps not been discovered, every punch thrown would have carried the force of a cast, significantly increasing the risk of serious injury to his opponent. The wraps were confiscated, Margarito was forced to rewrap his hands legally, and Mosley went on to dominate the fight, stopping Margarito in the 9th round. The scandal immediately raised questions about Margarito's previous performances. Most notably, suspicion turned toward his 2008 win over Miguel Cotto. In that fight, Cotto suffered an unusual amount of facial damage, including excessive swelling and bleeding, leading many to believe Margarito may have used the same illegal wraps. Although there was no official proof that the wraps were used in earlier fights, the damage to Margarito's reputation was irreversible. He was suspended for 1 year by the California State Athletic Commission, and public trust in his legitimacy as a fighter never fully recovered. Jon Jones. Jones is widely considered the most talented fighter in MMA history, but his legacy is filled with controversy. Alongside title wins and dominant performances, Jones has one of the most documented histories of cheating and rule violations in the sport. His biggest issues involve performance-enhancing drugs. Jones has failed multiple drug tests over the course of his career. In 2016, he tested positive for clomiphene and letrozole, both banned substances. In 2017, he failed another test, this time for turinabol, an anabolic steroid. These violations led to suspensions, stripped titles, and canceled fights. In addition to banned substances, Jones has a long record of rule bending inside the cage. He's known for frequent eye pokes, often using extended fingers to manage distance while risking illegal contact. He regularly targets the knees with oblique kicks, legal but widely viewed as dangerous due to the potential for serious joint injury. These fouls are rarely penalized, but they create small, consistent advantages. Jones has often remained just within the limits of what referees are willing to call, making his rule-breaking difficult to punish in real time. The debate around Jon Jones isn't just about his skill, it's about whether that skill has been consistently aided by cheating, both inside and outside the cage. His career is a clear example of how technical excellence and repeated rule violations can exist at the same time. Vitor Belfort. During the early 2010s, the UFC entered what became known as the TRT era, a period where fighters were allowed to use testosterone replacement therapy under doctors' supervision. The practice was controversial, but technically legal under Athletic Commission exemptions. Vitor Belfort became the most prominent and arguable figure of that era. While on TRT, Belfort showed a dramatic physical transformation. He appeared more muscular, more aggressive, and more explosive than at any other point in his long career. His knockout power increased, and he delivered some of the most violent finishes in UFC history during this time. One of the most discussed examples was his head kick knockout of Michael Bisping in 2013. That kick caused permanent damage to Bisping's eye, eventually requiring him to wear a prosthetic. Although Belfort never technically broke the rules while on TRT, the advantage it gave him was significant. His success during that period raised serious concerns about the use of therapeutic exemptions for performance enhancement. The UFC's decision to ban TRT was largely influenced by the controversy surrounding him. His case remains one of the clearest examples of how regulated substances can still create an uneven playing field in combat sports. Romero stoolgate. At UFC 178, Yoel Romero faced Tim Kennedy in a high-stakes middleweight bout. The controversy began at the end of round 2, when Kennedy landed a barrage of punches that left Romero visibly stunned and close to being finished. Under normal rules, the fighter must rise from the stool and answer the bell to start the next round. But when round 3 was set to begin, Romero remained seated. His corner deliberately left the stool in the cage and covered him in excess Vaseline, a tactic that forced the officials to pause the fight. The delay lasted 28 seconds beyond the standard 1-minute break between rounds. During that time, Romero recovered. No point was deducted, no disqualification was issued, and the fight continued. Once the third round began, Romero came out fresh and quickly turned the tables, landing punches and finishing Kennedy by TKO. This incident became known as stoolgate. The win remained on Romero's record, and the UFC never issued formal discipline. The controversy raised ongoing questions about officiating and enforcement in MMA. It also highlighted how subtle rule manipulation, in this case simply sitting for an extra half minute, can have a direct impact on the outcome of a fight. To this day, stoolgate is considered one of the clearest examples of gamesmanship crossing into rule-breaking with no accountability. Ricardo Mayorga. Ricardo Mayorga is one of the most unorthodox and controversial boxers in modern history, known as much for his fouls as for his fists. While he held world titles in 2 weight classes, his real notoriety came from how he broke the rules, both inside and outside the ring. In the ring, Mayorga consistently used illegal tactics. Low blows were common, often landing without apology. Headbutts, rabbit punches to the back of the head, and hitting after the bell were all part of his approach. He treated rules like suggestions, and many referees struggled to control his behavior. Outside the ring, his conduct was just as chaotic. Mayorga's press conferences and weigh-ins often involved smoking cigarettes on stage, throwing insults, or physically provoking his opponents. He made a spectacle of disrespect, aiming to get into his opponent's head before the first punch was thrown. While some fans found his antics entertaining, most experts agree he represents one of the dirtiest fighters the sport has ever seen. His legacy isn't about technique or discipline. It's about pushing the limits of what a referee would allow and making chaos part of his strategy. Judge coercion. In 2003, Roy Jones Jr. competed in a highly controversial bout against Antonio Tarver. While not a traditional case of equipment tampering or drug use, the controversy centered around manipulation of judging and promotion influence, something that's often overlooked as a form of cheating. Jones, one of boxing's biggest stars at the time, was awarded a majority decision in a fight where many observers believed Tarver had clearly done enough to win. The issue wasn't just about scoring, it was about the systemic bias built into high-level boxing. Promoters, networks, and sanctioning bodies all had financial stakes in keeping Jones on top. Critics pointed to this as an example of institutionalized favoritism, where the house fighter is nearly impossible to beat on the scorecards unless he's knocked out. While no rules were technically broken, the fight fueled distrust in boxing's integrity and highlighted how judicial manipulation can impact the outcome just as much as PEDs, or illegal hand wraps. This wasn't an isolated incident. It represented a pattern where elite fighters sometimes benefit from scoring that protects the business, even if it means robbing the opponent. In many ways, this kind of cheating is harder to detect and punish, but just as damaging to the credibility of the sport. Loaded ankle wraps. In 2016, Charles Bennett, also known as Crazy Horse, was involved in an infamous moment of foul-based cheating during his fight against Minoru Kimura in Japan. Just seconds into the bout, Bennett sprinted across the ring and landed an illegal soccer kick to his downed opponent, clearly against the rules of the promotion. The move caused immediate chaos and controversy. It wasn't accidental or heat of the moment. It was blatant and calculated. Bennett had a long history of pushing the boundaries of legality in the ring, but this fight showed how some fighters weaponize the element of surprise and rule violation to shock opponents, exploit loopholes, or create confusion. While not as long-lasting as steroid use or hand wrap tampering, this style of chaos-based cheating is dangerous because it normalizes violence outside the rulebook and sometimes gets rewarded by viral attention or crowd support. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And let me know what other similar content you would like to see down below in the comments.